The
Okay.
reading. All right, so we've pulled up James Ash, Rob Kitchin, and Agnieszka Leszczynski's Introducing Digital Geographies.
Lawless pronunciation.
Thank you, Mr. International over here. I'm just going to pretend that was completely correct. Um, so I know Jade hasn't read it yet. Yanis had. Has anybody else not read it or has read it? You can just put a reaction in the chat that is allowed. Okay, Lorraine hasn't.
It's not that great of a read, but yeah.
Jenna, Jenny's read it. Oh,
You
almost,
almost
almost Jenny Jennifer. That was you.
you should change your name to Jenny because I call you Jennifer and I always change my name to Yanis because I don't want people calling me
I'm
my
just,
formal name.
I'm gonna keep calling you John. Just
Yeah.
keep. All right, cool. Yeah, honestly, Stephanie, I'm with you on that one. It is hardly a memorable reading. Ah,
Yeah.
so should we do that reading thing again, or just like read the intro? Um,
Yeah, I'd say wait. For the people who I think we can say like the important parts for the people who have read it. I haven't read the whole thing. I read like part of it. And I think the digital geography, like the first page is very important, I'd say.
yeah,
Um,
I'd agree with that.
but yeah, I think the first page is like let's start there because it just gives a clear understanding of what digital geography is, which is basically the same as cultural geography, but it's online.
Yeah, yeah. I'll read the first, basically the first page up until where it ends at the top of the second.
Okay.
Um, Here you go. So it is now somewhat of an obvious point to state that digital phenomena have radically changed, transformed almost every aspect of human life. From economies to cultures to politics, there is almost no area that remains untouched by digital techniques, logics, or devices. For instance, economies are now based upon the production of digital goods and services, and the global stock market is managed by a high-speed algorithmic trading and digital networks that communicate faster than humans have directly perceive or respond to, or can directly perceive or respond to. Many aspects of cultural life, including how we identify and socialize with others, express ourselves, and consume popular content and entertainment, are now highly mediated through platforms and social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Governments fear cyber attacks, develop digital strategies. Oh, here we go. Jade's getting in. She's on board now. Develop digital strategies for international development and utilize digital technologies to enable new logics of governance based on highly dynamic and individualized modes of spatial segregation and control. These shifts posed across political, economic, and cultural spheres of everyday life are tied to a whole range of objects, processes, practices, and materialities, from consumer PCs to commercial server farms, from smartphone app to apps to ubiquity and pervasiveness of digital technologies, and their effects are of immediate concern to geographers, underwriting transformations of the space economy and economic relations, modes of management and governance of cities and regions, the production of space, spatiality, and mobilities, the processes, practices, and forms of mapping, the contours of spatial knowledge and imageries, and the formation and enactment of spatial knowledge politics. Digital presences, practices, and effects are characterized by uneven geographies of underlying infrastructures, component resources, and sites of creation and disposal. Similarly, there are distinct geographies of digital media such as internet, games, and social, locative, and spatial media. All right, cool. So, um, Yanni, do you want to open a discussion on what the rest of the reading's about or what we've just read?
Yeah, I was gonna say like the only thing I've highlighted from this and the next page is the sentence right below the one you stopped, which says at the same time, digital technologies alter how we as geographers go about engaging with and researching this digital world. I think I wrote that down as like a part of a definition because I feel like wait, Jenny asked what page we're on.
Oh, pain. We're
Uh,
literally doing the first
it's
one.
the first one, right?
Yeah, the
Uh,
first one, and literally the top of the second, and then we're no longer reading it. So if you're looking for what Yanni is talking about, um, don't worry about that.
I've got it printed out, so I can't really help.
I,
Because I tried to I basically cut out every reference in the thing just to save that bit of paper.
oh, nice.
I'm only good at two things: getting and saving paper.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much a definition, I'd say so. Which is like, I think most things you apply to cultural geography from this definition, from this sentence, I think you can apply to like digital geography. But yeah, I don't know if anyone agrees with this. Oh, okay.
Fair enough. Sorry, Mia. Good thing there's a recording.
But we already said that it's this time. Why wouldn't you schedule it later? But yeah.
Priority of way. But no, I'm not bitter or anything. No, joking.
Okay.
But no, I'm serious about not being bitter. I'm joking and the way I say it. But
You can add a disclaimer when you edit it later.
yeah, disclaimer on it. But yeah. What do people think digital geographies are then? I agree with Yanni's definition quite quite a lot in terms of it's like digital technologies also alter how we go about engaging with research in digital world. And as such, I'd say digital geographies are how people engage in online spaces. I'd say even some of the examples, like platforms themselves, are landscapes.
Yeah.
Like if we go back to that idea that landscapes are what we analyze, Facebook is definitely a different landscape from Twitter, and that's a different one from Instagram. Even Facebook and Instagram are different, and they're owned by the same company. So
I think that's, yeah, go on, sorry.
oh no, I was going to say just for me, I think it really highlights that we can't just treat the digital space as one thing that's exactly the same or like homogenous or whatever. It is there is variety there, and we have to be careful about generalizations. So, what are you going to say, Annie?
I was going to say that I think that's mentioned kind of in the first reading, and I think that's the only relevant part. It's like when it talks about the, I don't know if you guys have read it, but it talks about the park, and it says like people give you the, basically when there's grass and there's paths, you just walk over the paths, but some people will walk over the grass and then new paths will form. So basically there are like many values and many rules, unwritten and written, that kind of shape your behavior. And that's it said it applies online as well. And it, like last week when we were talking about how landscape and everything, that I don't have it in front of me, but everything that shapes people's characters, like shapes people's way of behavior, is the same online. Like Omar said, like you'll act different on Twitter, you'll interact, you go to, you'll have at least I do, you'll have apps for different reasons. Like you don't really use Twitter for the same reason as Snapchat. You're not using, at least I don't know if you are, but sorry if you are, if you're using Snapchat to read the news or something. And like depending on where you are, as well as the country and everything. But online, also the media online, it definitely affects you. Like some people have their have some websites banned and stuff. But yeah, that was the only thing I thought was relevant from the first one, was the fact that it said, it compared basically, for example, like being next to a mountain or like being surrounded by the sea, to like some platforms online and the restrictions you face through that.
Yeah, I get that. I'd say even like I think a fair comparison to make with that path analogy of the park is that like if we're looking at say pirated media compared to like say legitimate media, say you want to like watch a film, you can go on Netflix or download it from like Disney Plus or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you can and that's like the authentic path. One end of the park is your house or whatever, and you want to get your film, you go through the park along the pathway,
Yeah.
but you can just pirate it and
Yeah.
make your own path in that way. And so I completely agree. I think there's even like there's a whole study of like how people shape spaces, as it were. And it's
I'd,
completely based on
yeah,
that
go on.
park analogy. So go
I,
ahead.
I'd argue it's not only on pirated media. Like for example, um, social media try to make it like more free when they, like when they give you anonymity, they try to make it like for people to express themselves freely, but most people take advantage of that and are racist. I think that shows like there are some rules, that can like it's kind of an extreme, and sorry if it's offensive to some of you guys, but it's the truth. I'm about to talk facts, but like it said in the first reading, it says like people can ignore like social rules and can ignore laws and can ignore that. It's not, nothing tells you that something is going to happen the way it's intended to in real life. So that also goes into online life. Like I said, with Twitter, most people, like especially in the UK, there has been lots of issues within sports and racism and misogyny and stuff because of anonymity. So I mean, people can use, it's a multi-tool, so you can't really predict and you can't really restrict people that much that use it, but you're gonna get some bad results or some results that go against the way you intended to use it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Even building on that, there's well, I agree people are racist online, yeah. But they'll even do it on Facebook as well, with their face and job title there. But even LinkedIn, I've seen it. But another way I guess that users shape social media is with Twitter. Like the idea of the hashtag, it's not an official, or it wasn't an official feature until users started hashtagging keywords, and
Yeah.
eventually that became so popular that Twitter then included it in its formal features. So
Oh yeah, that's exactly, that's a great example, because it transcended Twitter after that as well. It's gone to, I
exactly,
don't know if it's gone to Facebook. Do you add it
Yeah, it
tab?
has.
yeah, yeah.
It
Thank
has even gone to Aula.
you.
That's true.
Imagine the, but yeah, it was a pretty useless thing. Like I don't even know what the use was for it on phones, and yeah,
Yeah, it's funny because with the tour example, because it's now, I think it also shows how all of these spaces and landscapes are connected. Because I don't know when the last time I saw a hashtag on Twitter, funnily enough, and that's where it was originated, as it were.
yeah.
And yeah, so now, yeah, it's now on almost everywhere else but Twitter, funnily enough. So makes you think. But no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have anything else to add on digital geographies?
Has anyone have any questions as well? Feel free to ask, because I think it will lead to more discussion.
I think Jade's trying to talk, but she was muted. I just saw the yellow box around her picture, but nothing was happening. There was no sound coming out.
Oh no, no, I wasn't. Sorry.
Oh, we were
Oh.
deceived.
Sorry, I unmuted myself and then muted myself again.
Oh, okay, fair enough. There's anything you want to say now that you're here? Or nah?
Oh God, the pressure. No, I can't really think of anything to say. One thing, I guess, I don't know if this really is relevant, but with all those social media platforms, they rely on users, like they rely on user generated content. So that kind of shapes how the platform is going to turn out. Like, depends how like we interact. Like everyone's Twitter timeline looks different depending on who you follow, like the things you like, the things you
Yeah.
tweet. So that's kind of like creating your own path as well.
I have something to go off of what Jade just said. Wait, I'm trying to find it. But yeah, I don't know. It's basically on page 70 or page 69 and 70. And it talks, and in the first reading, it's on page 69 and 70. Like, I don't know if the pages are the same on the PDF as they are like from the book, but yeah, it talks about first space, second space, and third space, and it basically it says that first space is described empirically and measurable, is used to describe empirically measurable and mappable phenomena. So I feel like it's the traditional sense we have of geography. Then it's second space, that it's perceived space, space which is subjective and imagined, the domain of imagination, representations, and image. And then it's third space, which is both combined. And it says is always both and always in excess to the ability of dualistic thinking to discipline it. and then it talks a lot about like how people shape a place. I mean, that goes into last week as well with space and place. Like it can be digital as well. Like Twitter would be nothing without users, like you said, but it could also be anything with users. Like the way it's used was kind of shaped with by the users. It was a pretty like using the hashtag is a way that people shape Twitter, and it's now a part of its identity. And I guess like Twitter, to see how to change their app and make it more have more appeal toward its users, saw what users were using it for and made that easier. So I feel like they basically gave people a relatively blank canvas and then just helped them with what they were trying to do.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I agree. I don't know if Jenny wants to jump in.
I was just gonna say, like, adding on to the bit before that, that sometimes social media is really regulated, even if it is anonymous. So people form their own global village in the form of a forum on a separate website that enable their own rules and regulations, so that they're not restricted in what they want to say, even if it is something really awful.
Wait, in those forums, do you make your own rules that transcend the rules of the website, or do you have to follow
No,
some?
like
Yeah,
you
go
could
on.
make your own website to
Oh
host your
yeah,
own forum, so then you've got your own set of rules and regulations
yeah,
to form your own global village that isn't restricted.
yeah. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I was thinking that you, because in the first reading it talks about being restricted by laws and stuff, but like online, I feel like you're just kind of unlucky if you get caught with all these things. Like going back to what Omar said about movies, it's just a thing. Like they can't arrest us all. It's like storming Area 51. But yeah, it's like very, you wouldn't download. I saw someone with a bumper sticker that said, "I downloaded this car," in the font that said, "You wouldn't steal a
Oh, that's
car," or
very clever.
something.
That's very clever.
But yeah, I feel like what Jenny said, I think you have no restrictions if you create a website and you encode it in the right way or hide it in the right way. There's more room to hide on the internet than there is, I think, anywhere. So yeah, you basically have a place you can do whatever you want. And you can create a global village. It's an online country, basically. A
Yeah.
global village, if you will.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there, because even if you look at like those live stream accounts or websites that like just connected to like horrible videos of certain things going on around the world kind of thing, and
Yeah.
they're literally wouldn't be hosted anywhere else. I really agree with that, Jenny. Also quite like the idea that you brought up earlier as well, Yanni, that about the you make your own space. Was it you actually? I might be giving you fake credit here, but about you must make your own spaces. It's also kind of how you interact with it is the creation of a space, and it's almost like how cities are formed, right? Where
Yeah.
literally the type of building, something that you brought up last week as well, like the type of building that you have in a certain geographical area is dependent on a number of things, like your own personal cultures and viewpoints, but also where you are based in the world.
Yeah.
And I think our digital spaces definitely reflect that, right? Like, I'm not going to go on Twitter hoping to publish an essay, but at the same time, if I wanted to do that, I could kind of with a very long thread. But there are other places where that's much more appropriate to do so.
Yeah. But
And as such, yeah, I would go to Twitter for instant, up-to-date news, but I would go to somewhere like Medium to read, an edited article that had all the facts gathered and stuff. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say like if like you said, like, and I said before, but anyways, if people were posting essays on Twitter, then Twitter would change it changed to more characters, didn't it? Like one
Yeah,
time.
yeah, 140
Yes.
280, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been going strong. I don't think it's ever gonna be like the number one social media thing, but it's like a quick way to interact, just like TikTok is. Like I said to you yesterday, TikTok is a very dangerous tool because it's so fast and so easy. You just like think, oh, it's just been like 5 minutes, and then it's been like 3 days on TikTok.
Haven't eaten, slept, or had a glass of water.
Yeah.
Brink of TikToks.
But it's it's like depends a lot on how you use it. You have some freedom, and like I think you also have like this goes quite a bit into what Jenny said, but you have a lot of different impacts from like different countries. So it gets like a, it's not only like you can get people from all around the world, but people from all around the world shape it. And like it's difficult to regulate as well, because every culture has like a different mentality. And yeah, for example, like in Cyprus, like you'd behave differently on Twitter, because every day I see Cyprus is trending in Cyprus, because it takes 1,500 tweets for something to trend here. So I could make myself trend if I was just bored for a day. Just by tweeting my own name, I could get on trending. So people interact with it differently. If it's like people don't interact with it much, but yeah, like you said, yeah, they could shape it, they could make it something more like, when you have the power to just choose what anyone on Twitter is seeing in Cyprus, then you have the power. I think, oh yeah, I think there is like there is a quote. No, actually there was a quote that says like, I think it's kind of irrelevant, so I won't mention it. But it was from like, I find some good quotes, but for some reason they're all by like weirdos. So like I found one. I think you might have heard it, but it's like, uh, in order to know who rules you, know who you can't criticize. And the guy who said it was like, every bad thing in the book.
I
So
remember
you can't.
an anti-Semite,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and a lot of other things. But it's like, yeah, it's also, I think we could go, mostly I'm just gonna say things from last week, which are also true for this week, because I feel like a lot of it is like, you see the power structures online as well, because people who, like, you might say something, it's basically like saying a joke and then someone says it louder. Like celebrities can say the same thing as you're like, it has effects on the real world. And I think I've gone too off topic. But I don't know, no one is talking and I'm scared.
Are you scared, Yanni? Are you telling me you're scared? But no, I think you and Jade actually make a great point. That reminded me of something that happened a few, I guess, days ago now. I'm losing track of time being inside all the time. But basically a few K-pop songs managed to make its way over to Black Twitter, as it were. And there was a debate around the use of the N-word, and it took someone who understood Korean and English to kind of explain who the word was. You.
It means you in Korean, yeah.
There we go. So when we get like when we look at power structures and how different people that we follow and interests start to overlap with, I guess, different cultural perspectives, we end up with a very I guess like a conflict in that digital space that can, give growth. Because I think a lot of people learn what you was in Korean that day.
But even like after, even before the Korean scandal, which I saw was happening quite a few months ago. So I hope you saw it a few days ago and you're just not lost that much track of time. But yeah,
probably because the other day, this is my problem. I say the other day, right? And it could mean anything between yesterday and about 9 years ago.
Nice.
And that was before lockdown. It was an issue. Thank you, Jade.
Yeah.
But like, so I would say the other day, or I say a few days ago. But the problem with lockdown is that I could literally mean this time last March. And now I would be like, oh yeah, so much time has passed, but I just haven't registered it. So it could have been several months ago, if I'm being honest. And it was basically yesterday.
But some people were like trying to cancel like Spanish speaking people, because Black in Spanish is, I don't want to say it because I don't feel comfortable, but it's like
Welcome to
Do
the
you
council
know
brigade. Well, now
yeah, and like people are trying to cancel like because some people just don't know other languages and they don't know other cultures. So it's like most of the people who are English speakers like only speak English. I think no, I wouldn't say that's wrong. But there are a lot of people who speak English as their only language, and like I feel like people who speak English are kind of who speak only English, like speaking another language and being to other countries and stuff helps change your perspective and understand that there are a lot of other people with different mentalities and such. But there has happened so many times.
yeah,
Yeah, it is like we have to. Yeah, I mean, like being Greek, the Greek language doesn't do anything outside of Greece, so you kind of have to. So yeah.
but
Uh,
no, you make a great point because I mean, just from my own perspective and commentary on that one, a lot of the debates around N-word usage turn out they come from bots, like people just trying to create drama.
oh
And
yeah.
another thing that's really funny is that when you look at like when these debates come up, it's always almost around election cycles.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
which is kind of depressing, but also quite funny.
like the
But
thing with
yeah,
the
a lot of epic
senator.
debates.
The thing with the senator. Did you see the one who tweeted as a gay black man? And it was like a white senator. And he's like, Trump has done like more things for me than Obama ever did. It was like, oh, damn. Like that showcases like the power of social media and people like telling everyone to vote and stuff. And especially now, I'd argue that because of the pandemic and people's interactions have moved in a big percentage online, it's happening a lot more, like the shaping of our environment and the use of social media as well as its shaping, it's happening more because everyone is inside and everyone is using that. But yeah.
You know, you're completely right. I just have to mute myself there because that's one of the fun. Like every time the guy tweets now, everyone goes, "Oh, this you," and it's the same tweet over and over again. It's really, really funny to me.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're completely right. I think you used to talk about how I guess even individuals and how they might falsely interact with spaces can change spaces as well.
yeah.
This might be off topic a little bit, but yeah, if his like as a gay black man tweet like slapped and made rounds, definitely would have changed perspectives both in the physical and digital world,
Yeah.
which would be a very interesting like case study when you realize, hey, this is all fake. Someone like drummed this all up. So
Yeah. I think another important like a very big example of like how digital geography changes like around people is that every platform like Zoom, as soon as the vaccines came out, their stocks dropped tremendously. And when people started doing more and more online, like work and university and classes for school and stuff, they started adding more features. Like I think Zoom this time last year was very simple and no one used it. And now they're trying to add everything like breakout rooms. I don't think that would be there. They were trying to add breakout rooms and everything they've added now to
yeah,
just make it more appealing to people for like some people use Teams, I don't know, some people use Zoom and stuff.
no, you're completely right. I mean, even like yeah, like even the digital spaces themselves have changed things because like yeah, Zoom was used to be like a business conferencing platform. Now it's its primary use, and now we've got Lawyer Cat, and that is because Zoom had to move into the social space and understand people were missing out on birthdays, and they were now resorting to digital spaces to celebrate things that they used to be able to do physically. So I think Jenny wants to say something, so I'm gonna let her go.
No, sorry, I was just eating and I had to clear my throat.
Oh, fair enough. So yeah, it's just yeah, how spaces have changed, even like not through user participation is quite interesting, but also I guess companies anticipating how people are going to try and use their
Yeah,
products.
because
So
you
yeah.
don't want to make it too restricting, right?
Oh yeah.
But wait, is there a Facebook one? is there like a Facebook rooms? I know some people, I think some people use Facebook.
There's a bit of a dilemma around that because I know Facebook tried to buy an app called House Party, which would have been the equivalent of a breakout room on Facebook. And I know Facebook Messengers tried to include multiple things because they've got like a physical device now that is just for face-to-face video calls.
Oh, yeah. I think is it Portal? They're definitely.
Sounds about right because I remember like the GLaDOS memes about it. GLaDOS is a character from Portal. He's like a sentient robot who tries to kill people, or tries to kill you in the game. But yeah, let me look it up. Facebook Portal, right?
Yeah, I think so. I remember the advert, which was like it was moving and tracking your movement.
Yeah, Portal from Facebook is called. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got Alexa built in. This is not an ad. Not an ad.
Wow.
But yeah, it's also quite interesting to see how like even that in itself is almost like it's not a digital space in itself, but how it's a device dedicated to creating a digital environment. Because I'd say, your smartphone isn't necessarily that. Its primary function is to make calls and texts, as it were, as it always has been. But the smart element has been added. Like even if those things didn't work, it'd still be a mobile phone. Whereas with like these devices like Portal or I guess the new Kindle like Fires, where they're now tablets and e-readers, they've been. Sorry, no, that's a bad example. This Facebook Portal example shows how like they've tried to with one device create a dedicated digital space, whereas like something like a Kindle Fire is a bit like the mobile phone, where even if all the other apps didn't work, it'd still be an e-reader.
Yeah, the mobile phone is like a great example as well of like how people changed something technological, because you used to have like just a phone, calls, nothing else. I remember when I got like one of my first phones and it could go on the internet, and it was like a brick phone, and I was like, wow, this shit is incredible, where you could see like pixelated pictures online, and I was like, wow. And my sister lost that phone and I still remember it.
Pain.
Yeah, and now it has grown so much. Like, I don't know if people use it too much for like actual calls. I know people WhatsApp call and stuff, but it's like I don't really remember the last person I called outside of my parents. Even business calls you do on WhatsApp and stuff. Like, no one really calls.
Yeah, that's another good point because you're like highlighting a generational difference there. I know that my family use WhatsApp calls to call back to Barbados quite often because it's way cheaper than buying a flipping phone card, and thank God because I can't go to keep going to the corner shop buying phone cards. So I'm very grateful for WhatsApp. But that comes with its own problems again in it, because now I'm getting ridiculous forwarded chain messages from Barbados that have no relevance and are 100% fake. But I have to engage with them because otherwise I wouldn't be talking to my second cousin who I've not seen in like 20 years, as it were. So it's a really weird space how, like, again, go back to the idea of how different nations and the people within them and their perspectives change environments. I feel like we can just keep going around in circles about this because I feel like this topic is one that was easy to understand now that we've done it for 2 years.
I think we've just related it back to cultural geography, and now we're just thinking like, oh, this thing for cultural geography can also be made digital.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, and it's just 5 of us now. I checked a bit. I checked like some time ago, and I was like, where did all the other guys go?
Apparently with Zoom, the reason why that we've got like the waiting room at the beginning is because influencers and that were like, oh my God, give me your Zoom code. And then they were just like going on to random people's like student lectures. But then people started doing it to like insult the teachers or whoever.
I saw that happened. But yeah, I didn't know that was the reason. I saw that people would do that. But I didn't know that was what happened. That's I don't know. That's a lot of the measures we have are for influencers IRL and then.
But no, you're completely right, because before, like when you consider like a video conferencing app, is something that people that were paying for to be able to use, or and so when you then open it up to children who don't really want to be in class and are looking for any excuse to make things entertaining, it kind of makes sense as to why just having a simple password and conference number isn't going to cut it anymore. So yeah, I guess that goes back to the generational thing, like how you can't trust children to keep things mature, as it were. But
Yeah.
Even influencers are like a like direct result of this whole online environment and like the importance that's being added. Like
yeah,
all of these people that are online doing very simple dances that younger children consider attractive are getting like shit tons of cash. And it's like 5 years ago, this wasn't it. Like I remember how like I remember like YouTube in 2012 or some shit. Like 9 years, that's 9 years ago, by the way. I remember like how simple it was, like cat videos and shit. And you do see like, oh, this cat takes paper out of a printer. This is funny. I'll send it to my friends over Skype. But yeah, now no one uses it. Now no one. That's not the like even, and they're trying to put restrictions for kids, and like you can't add comments on YouTube Kids. And all of this stuff because of the dangers that happen, like the apocalypse on YouTube as well. That they put, I think they put ads on like an ISIS beheading or some shit as well.
yeah, they
a
were
few
moving
years.
mad with the incel Nazi ISIS videos, and Coca-Cola
Yeah.
was like, hey, we're not sponsoring ISIS. What's this?
Because it's becoming mainstream, so it is getting like the recognition of mainstream media, while I think it's not getting as much of the respect.
Yeah, I think even that case study of YouTube Kids goes back to what Jenny was saying about how some people, make websites or a forum and they can put whatever they want on it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, YouTube became almost like a bridge between the mainstream accepted culture and, the dark web.
Yeah, because
How did
YouTube could have been something very free, and like the way it started, like there was no need to regulate it that much. It was just like some people would post like their families and stuff just to share them with each other, but becoming so big, and like people like there's obviously like a platform like similar to YouTube where people post like weird things, but they post them like on Instagram and stuff because like they're hiding in plain sight basically because there are just so many people. Like I like a friend of mine saw an Instagram profile which was abusing animals, and everyone was reporting this, but it has happened a lot of the times. But yeah, like I remember Facebook stalking was a big thing as well years ago. I created Facebook first time, like I think I only had Skype until I was like 16 by personal choice. It wasn't like someone told me.
yeah, no, I I remember when I was like being asked to join Facebook, there was like at secondary school there was like a parent teacher conference kind of thing where our school had some internet safety person come in and was like, hey, look, Facebook isn't safe for your kids, there's loads of pedophiles on it, don't get it. And then I don't know,
Jade is leaving,
got it
so
anyway, which I think
goodbye,
is
Hi,
Jade.
Jade.
see Jade, which is a little bit like playing with fire to be like, oh hey, I know there's pedophiles on this thing, but I'm going to use it anyway. And then it became almost like once there was almost like critical mass, as it were, like so many of the other students had Facebook that I joined it and just used it to play Farmville and poke each other.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have the fish tank game?
yeah, man, all of the ridiculous Facebook games that would like take 10 minutes to load on the web browser.
Yeah.
Because like, I realized I was also the only thing I was allowed to play because again, the internet was like this lawless place where anything you downloaded could have had a virus, and it was like such a smart virus that your internet safety I don't know what you call it, scanner virus things wouldn't be able to pick them up. So like I could only play Facebook games and web browser games, and how the internet has like tried to like self-correct.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, Fireboy and Water Girl.
Oh wow. I remember that was a direct ripoff of like Lava Boy and Shark. Was it Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. So yeah.
It enables you to be in the same place, like digital media, as like some people that you might not be. Like I play Minecraft with my younger brother now. He's like 14, and we have a world together, and we just play because I'm in a different country, and I should have done that because we it's a good excuse to talk. And basically, I like Minecraft as well. I'm not gonna hide it. But yeah, I remember Club Penguin as well.
Yeah.
I remember the day it got shut down. I was looking at my powerful plushies, and I was like, did I not give them enough money?
Yeah, I remember everyone trying to flip the iceberg, and then like on the last day they finally allowed everyone to do it, and I thought, oh, how nice of you, Club Penguin. But
it's like it's I think like the you see like how important those things are, because like, for example, like we all have this common place in our childhood, which is Club Penguin, when we can't have like a park we all went together, and like we have shared memories, like despite us growing up in like totally different places. And it gives you like, and it's a big part of your memory. Like I look back at some parks in London the same way I look at Club Penguin, like the lobby and the plaza and the cafeteria and the disco. I used to bust it down on that dance. I used to hit the wave and spin like but yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh God.
This is the best part of the recording.
Oh man, that is so funny. But yeah, I feel like we've like almost like kind of hit the peak and kind of the end of it. So I'm gonna have to
just
go.
Four of us. It's just four of us. I don't know what me, Jade, and Lorraine are gonna do. Like I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, and yeah, another great session really. So is there anything like any closing thoughts of anyone who wants to add or share?
We can share our usernames for Club Penguin.
Jokes.
How many people do you think you've walked past that you like met on Club Penguin?
That is a great question.
I don't know. But I don't know. Probably
maybe
like,
Emma was your best friend on Club Penguin.
Imagine, that'd be so jokes.
Yeah, I remember like I had the like Russian girlfriend on Club Penguin.
Oh wow.
And she broke up with me.
Pain.
Oh no, sad times.
It was like for quite a while. Like I remember I'd see her online and I'd join and I was like, hey, what's up?
So how did you, and drumroll please, break the ice?
No, I was like, I think it was like in those kind of games, you just like say like, oh, 1, 2, 3 for a boyfriend. And people would be like, 1, 2, 3 in the chat. And you'd see like the person with the coolest outfit and you'd be like, I want this guy.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good point actually. There was like, yeah, I feel like Geographies could probably be a really good case study on like how children and young teens almost like map their sexuality, because Habbo Hotel was a wild place for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, Habbo Hotel has like a great internet historian episode. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, I need to. There's one that's come out today about the Costa Concordia. That's going to be on my watch list after this. So if I haven't, I'm going to say. I've watched so much internet historian stuff that I forgot which ones I've watched. So I'm just
I'll send you it if you haven't watched it, but. I just have one question, last one. When I said I have one question, I wanted to say, what are those? But that's not the question. Because I just thought like a Vine shaped, like a Vine was like 2 or 3 years where it was just like everything. And then it just disappeared.
Yeah, that was weird, man. Because now TikTok's replaced it. Oh yeah, I have seen because he talks about the pools closed and stuff.
Yeah, pool closed because of AIDS.
Oh yeah, that was such an interesting time on Habbo Hotel. I think that's when I joined. I remember I got banned from Habbo Hotel because I had a black character with a suit and afro. I think it was cool, not knowing Nazis had previously co-opted it.
Yeah, but where did you have like an afro at that time? From pictures I saw.
Yeah, probably, or I was growing or about to grow one. So, or I just.
So you were just banned for being yourself, basically.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I wasn't even a Nazi. What's going on here?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if we do like in the blog post for digital geography, can we just link it back to like aspects of cultural geography without explaining them, or do you think we should explain everything, or can we take it for granted? I mean,
I think that you could make early on in that post
You
a
could
comparison. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jenny.
you could talk about like space and place, but then link it to global villages so that you do cover like one of the sub themes within digital geography, just to make sure that it matches up.
yeah. Is global villages like global villages were like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, it's immediate ecology as well. So it's Marshall
Cool.
McLuhan. Global village. And
It does fit in, so maybe I'll bring that back as well.